is, right? If you know, with, electronic lock boxes, if you don't realize this, right? These agents know down to the minute how long you've been in the house, right? So what if we knew not just which agent wrote the offer, which one of the 33, but on average, if 5 offers were written, well, how long were each one of those 5 people in the home, right? Which offer was accepted? Was it over list? Was it under list, right? So there's a lot that we can glean, but that information needs to be compiled and then easily presented back to brokers and agents so that you can actually make a decision based off of this data. Because, you can have all the data in the world, but if you can't make good decisions off it, then what's the point of having it?
If the only times that I call you are times when I ask you, who do you know that wants to buy or sell, would you really believe that I have your best interest at heart? Probably not. And so no matter what story I'm telling, you're not believing it. And then I always leave this one for last. This is authenticity.
Okay, awesome. Welcome, everybody. We are live right now. We have amazing, amazing company joining us. Showingly is what I know of them, right? But we've got CEO Wes here that has been in the business 15 years, right, Wes? You've been a realtor yourself.
I have, yeah, and no longer actively producing, but
Okay.
have been in the industry for about 15 years now.
Awesome, awesome. And then you are actually the CEO of the company anyway. And it's amazing to see how, real estate agents are really, growing, knowing the weaknesses that we have in our industry and making them strengths for other realtors. I love that. And then we have Tom here as well. Welcome, both of you. Thank you so much. In the meantime, everyone that has joined us, please tell us city and state you guys are from. I'd love to know more information about where you're from. And also this webinar is being recorded on our YouTube channel. It will be available on our YouTube channel. So tell us a little bit more. I'm actually waiting for people to say something, but they're all probably just signing in right now. So I'll come back to you guys, but let's just start this off. Wes, tell us a little bit more about 2.0. Give us a little bit of insight to this.
Yeah, so, showingly, about 6 months ago, we really, started work on our kind of next generation software. And it's really focuses on the relationship of tying the real estate professionals out there with their clients and consumers. And that interaction, we don't feel like really takes place in the showing management space. And there's a lot of efficiency that can be gained on the agent's part by connecting their client to the app.
I totally agree with you on that. And I know before we get into the nuts and bolts of Showingly, we've been hearing obviously like more and more about what some of the changes have been in showing management space. Anything you can shed a light on there?
Yeah, so it's an incredibly interesting time, really, with a lot of different kind of vendor relationships with these MLSs. At the highest level, right? We need data, right, from these MLSs, and that helps us provide a secure platform to make sure that if you are an agent, that when you do receive a code, that you're in good standing, right? We need an IDX feed of sorts from these MLSs to make sure that the addresses are correct, that we're all looking at the same property. And these MLSs historically have essentially chosen winners and losers in different vendor management spaces. Showing management being one. So you take a look at a decision made at the MLS level that says, all right, well, we are going to adopt this showing management service alone, and whether brokers and agents like it or not, that's what they're stuck with. What's been really happening over the last little bit, and it's been a pretty active effort. 3 of the bigger MLSs across the country have kind of joined forces, and they're working on what's called the Showing Hub. And the Showing Hub would essentially act on top of the MLS that would allow multiple showing management providers to come in and share data. So you could have showing time, you could have Broker Bay, you could have Tours As, you could have Insta Showing, you could have Showingly, right? All working in the same MLS. And when a showing is booked on, let's say, Showingly, everyone else would be able to see what time that was booked. So now there's no having to go log into two systems. Everyone is sharing that data. So it's a really, really interesting time. And instead of an MLS picking a winner or a loser about, what showing management service they're going to be working with, now the best product, right, the best experience for these brokers and for these agents are what will be adopted, right? So now it's really a race of, all right, well, if you're in the showing management space, what value, how can you better help agents and consumers in the showing process?
That's really interesting you say that. So how does Showingly fit into this interoperability space? What are you doing as a company to adopt or adapt to these changes?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a few different things. One of the biggest things that we feel like we can do is empower agents and brokers, right? With great data, you can make better decisions, right? You need to ultimately have that. So we are very focused on providing quality data back to the MLSs, the brokers, and the agents that we serve, right? In order to do that, we feel like having a stronger relationship, and within the app, linked to the client, whether it be the buyer or seller, right? More information, right, is going to guide these better decisions, right? How can we make, ultimately, we all serve the client, right? I mean, spent 15 years in the industry, right? It is all about the client, and it has to be, right? If we're not providing great value back to our subscribers, clients, we're failing miserably, right? So that's where it all lies. The flip side is that it's all right, well, how do then we guide agents to make these better decisions? So pulling in showing analytics, and really kind of the next phase is going to be partnering with other vendors, right? So we do feel like showing management is very much a leading indicator of the market, right? In many different ways. It's not the only one. It's not necessarily the best one, but we are the first. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've shown a property before that client's been pre-qualified. So we're truly the vanguard, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Wes, because I think, in really we as realtors need to be proficient in our showings, right? Be more efficient in how we're showing it. 9 out of 10 times they're not pre-approved. I totally agree with all of that. Let me ask you this. Go ahead. You were saying something?
Oh, no, I'm waiting for the next question. Yep.
So let me ask you this, for an average agent out there, right? What does this mean for them? Like, tell us a little bit more in depth to this. Like, what can they do to get ready and to prepare themselves for the next evolution in showing management? I'm really curious to know about showing management.
Yeah, and in every market's going to be different, right? If your MLS, if you're in kind of that enterprise level solution, you're in some way, shape, or forms, right, at the mercy of that decision. If you're in some of these bigger MLSs that are starting to adopt the hub-based technology, or you're working with a showing management company that has some sort of, it's called interoperability, but interoperability agreement, then you can explore utilizing different showing management services and really finding the best one that serves you and your needs.
Right.
One thing we're really, really excited about is, we do now have a signed agreement with Showing Time, and as of right now, we are in active development work to make it so if a listing agent has chosen Showing Time as the provider, buyer's agent can utilize Showingly to book a showing and vice versa. So if you're wanting to use Showingly as a listing management platform because that's what you like, well, and you like showing times, buyer management, right, or buyer process better than ours, then you can use either one, right? And it's really choice. Agents need to get ready for choice.
Right.
Ultimately, it's coming across the country. I think it starts in the very near future. And I think within 5 or 7 years, I think you'll see the absolute vast majority of MLSs providing more choice back to who MLSs serve, and MLSs serve agents, right? So
Exactly.
you'll see more choice come into the space. So my advice to all the agents out there is try as many showing that the technology's there, right? It should be incredibly affordable, right? And it should be an easy decision to make to try to find a solution that better serves your clients.
I think, so many realtors are stuck with the way of doing business, the way they train themselves to do, right? I think this evolution of time, this evolution of different products that are being introduced to us is really going to make a huge difference. And again, who better to do that than realtors like us, correct? I think it's a great space to be in, right, Wes?
Yeah, no, it really is. And there's just like everything, right? I mean, there's risk, right? I mean, you could
Absolutely.
adopt a new piece of technology, get relatively proficient in it, and they could go out of business, or they could be acquired, and then it changes, right? So, but I feel like you need to, right? There's a lot of technology out there that is making, I think, life easier on agents, but
Right.
ultimately it is about better serving your clients, right? The client has to win, right? The underlying sellers and the underlying buyers absolutely 100% have to be the winner in any piece of technology adoption, right? If it
Absolutely.
frees up more of your time, and so you can spend more quality time and interaction with them, if it frees you up to better provide them value, that's the technology you want to adopt.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I think there's a change every single day that you should not change. I would say you should visit the way you serve your clients, because again, like you said, ultimately it's about them. It's not about us. We just have to improve the way we do things. And this is where Showingly comes in. This is where Showing Partner comes in. This is where Showing Hub, Showing Management, all of that comes in, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, as we
Can I
know,
interrupt real quick? I do want to add one thing to that while we're on this topic. I think the main thing we need to remember too is that, being in effect almost the new guy in this space, or one of the newer ones, we have the advantage of looking at historically what's happened with these other companies and seeing what they got right, what their clients like, what they don't like, and then also presenting an alternative. And the advantage of being new is that we're not committed to anyone necessarily, way of thinking. So that if people like you get back to us and say, hey, I really like this, but could you also do this? Or could you tweak this a little? I think that would be better for me. If we get enough of that feedback from all of you guys, and ultimately that's who we're serving, is the agents.
Right.
If we get all of you telling us, hey, we'd really love for you to do this, being new, not being so entrenched in our ways and committed to one way of doing things, gives us the flexibility to pivot as you guys demand.
You just said the word.
Your clients win, but you guys win.
Yeah, and you just said the word flexibility, right? I mean, you guys are all about flexibility. You guys can actually maneuver things around the demand, the need of the realtor.
Right.
Because I see that, of course, going out there showing properties and listing properties, there's always this miscommunication. I just thought of something that happened last week to me. And it was interesting to see how the guy was just not having it. The listing agent was just not having it because he double booked by accident. And then the first appointment didn't show up and the clients were upset. And so all of that anger channeled on me. And it's like, wait a minute, you were inconsistent on how to do your showings, right? You did not have something like Showingly, or you didn't have a showing management system. Therefore, it all came down on me. But it was a pretty interesting experience. It's like, yeah, we need something like this. So I'm so glad I'm talking to you guys. I have a question, another one. you know, a lot of changes happening and a lot of good things happening right on the horizon for everyone. Tell me, how do these changes actually affect brokerages? Let's talk about that. And then a follow-up question on that is, are there any advancements coming that will help them as well, especially brokerages?
Yeah, it's, you know, so on the brokerage level, and it's yet to be determined, right? I think you have brokerages of varying size, but you know, ultimately it's going to be more about the data. And there's a lot more information that can be presented back to brokerages and agents, right? Imagine this, right? So
Right.
imagine you could pair showing management data with offer management data. So you could determine, all right, as a listing agent, right, I see that I had 33 showings.
Mhm.
All right, well, which one of the 33 showings wrote the offer? Right? Did you list on a Wednesday and you got 33 showings? Right? Did you list on a Thursday afternoon, a Friday morning, a Saturday, a Sunday? Like, what day did you list on? How many showings did you have? Right? And we can pull in all of this aggregate data. Now, if we're pulling in data and we can see this, how does that benefit the consumer? Right? If the best day to truly list is a, you know, Wednesday evening or a Thursday evening or a Friday morning, right? We need to know that. We need to see the data that proves that, right? I mean, there is that element. We can't just guess anymore, right? We live in a,
Right.
you know, an age where that data is available. It just needs to, or that data is there. We just need to make it available to decision makers.
Exactly. And how awesome would it be to let them know that, hey, I have this information for you, you know, going with yet another piece of information to them, saying, this is what we will do for you, show you the data of who has come in, who has written the offers, when is the best time to list. Well, that's for us as realtors to understand. But going with, you know, strong data, strong information to your client, I think that's a win in itself too.
Totally. And you know, actually answering the question that you asked here about, you know, brokerages, it's, you know, we're developing what we're calling Brokerage Suite, right? And that Brokerage Suite is the tool that will then empower these brokerages and their agents with this information, right? So the more integration partners that, you know, that's what we're working on. That's what I'm working on, right? Is the integration partners to make sure that those that we've chosen to partner with, have a very clear message, right? That it's 100% about the consumer, right? And if we know when the best time to list is, right? If you know, with, electronic lock boxes, if you don't realize this, right? These agents know down to the minute how long you've been in the house, right? So what if we knew not just which agent wrote the offer, which one of the 33, but on average, if 5 offers were written, well, how long were each one of those 5 people in the home, right? Which offer was accepted? Was it overlist? Was it underlist, right? So there's a lot that we can glean, but that information needs to be compiled and then easily presented back to brokers and agents so that you can actually make a decision based off of this data. Because, you can have all the data in the world, but if you can't make good decisions off it, then what's the point of having it?
Exactly. What's the point? I like that. What's the point of having them? And especially data that you can share with your client and win the listing appointment as well, right? I mean, really, it's all about them. It's all about our consumer. It's all about, we're in the people business. We're in face-to-face public business, right? We need to make sure that we do what it takes to make it happen and a win-win for both parties, correct?
Absolutely, right. It really is. So, and we've got some really neat things planned. And I forgot the exact, wording of your second question there, but how does Showingly play into this?
Yeah. So what are the advancements that will help them as well? Like what will help these brokerages, the advancements that you've got going?
Yeah, so data is a very, very big one,
Right.
right? So, and again, that guides decisions. The second piece of this is, more on the admin side, which, for your average agent may not have too many, benefits, but for, a brokerage to have an admin panel to essentially not to have to rely on someone here at our office to assist and to empower the people that, again, are subscribing to our technology to give them more freedom. This all comes down to competition, right? I mean, what
Yeah.
you're going to see with this hub, right? And and we welcome it, and we think it's a really good thing, right? We don't want to be the only showing management provider out there,
Right.
because we're going to get pushed, and an agent's going to come in and say, hey, I want this functionality.
Right.
And we're going to get that, and we absolutely welcome feedback from anyone on, hey, I wish showing management had this functionality. And those companies that really want to bring it forward, and if that's something that the agents want or the
Yeah.
brokers want, then we need to deliver, right? Because now it's a competitive environment.
And you know what I love with Tom, what you just said earlier, that, you're flexible. I think that is so important right now in the building blocks of your companies, is that to really be flexible and to cater to what is the need out there from realtors, right? What is the weaknesses that we can actually make those strengths happen and cater to our consumer, cater to our clients, having that flexibility.
It's not just about the data that we can provide, brokerages and agents and even MLSs to a certain extent if they're interested, but it's what can you learn about your business, and what can we do to help you with that? And one of the things that we're so excited about with all of these, this data that we're going to be, hopefully soon making available, is just it enables you guys to make better decisions, and then that in turn increases your productivity. And then that changes the market too. Like Wes said, competition, rising tide lifts all boats here.
Right.
So we can't just rely on what we've done so far that's working well. We have to make sure we're responding to the market. The market is always changing. Your needs are always changing. Everyone's needs in different markets are changing in different ways. And we've got to be able to make sure we're serving all of those people the best way we can. And then if we don't, we run the risk of losing you to somebody else. And that's our fault for being inflexible. And so that's one of the things we're so determined to do, is just listen to you guys. And so the more of you that can try us out and give us your honest feedback, and hey, look, we're not perfect. We don't pretend to be for 1 second. If you've got something that's not working the way you think it should, but please tell me. I can't fix it if I don't know it's broken, and that applies to our whole team and our whole philosophy. So we just want to make sure we're serving you guys the best we possibly can to make your job as easy as it can be, because we know everybody else is going to make it hard for you. So you don't need us doing it too.
Exactly. And so Jake, can you post to where our viewers, actually listeners, can go to get more information about this company, about Showingly, and about, all these different topics we've covered, from Showing Hub to showing management? If any one of you guys can just put in a link up there, that would be great. Oh, there we go. So again, like, it's the first platform that has ever been connecting us to real estate agents, and we need something like this in our industry. I know there is a lack for this. So I have another question for you, Wes or Tom. So obviously it seems like, we should be really focused on figuring out what the weakness is and sending those to you and saying, hey, how can you guys help us with this? But tell me a little bit about what is it that we should be looking forward to next from Showingly, and anything else new and exciting that you guys want to tease us with. Give it to us right now. We want to know what you guys have up and coming. Would love to know.
Yeah. So, we have three core products, right? Or solutions rather. We've got the agent solution, obviously, is showing management, right? Kind of traditionally as we've known it. We've got, ABC, A, agent, B, brokerage, right? And C is the consumer client facing portion of this, right? Showingly 2.0, the full launch with consumer app is coming up very soon. I don't have an exact date for you. Development can be a tricky little thing here, but
oh yes, I'm still waiting.
yeah, I feel like we're pretty close, right? The agent side is functional, but it's really the agent to consumer app, right? And in that connection right there. So, imagine as a listing agent, or a buyer's agent, I'm sorry. And I would get this request often, right? A property comes on the market, typically Wednesday or Thursday, at least in the Denver market. And, showings may not start till noon on Friday, but I'm getting requests to go see that property on a Wednesday or a Thursday. But I need to essentially kind of drop what I'm doing when I get that request, right? Log onto the MLS, look at the showing time availability or showing provider, right? Shouldn't just say showing time, but looking at the availability from the showing service provider. And then going back, trying to find a time that works for my client, whether it be Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, right? So we're streamlining this process when we're giving the consumer a glimpse of the available times. So they're not even requesting to see a property when it's not even available. Or if you as an agent want to share, if you know you've got 3 holes in your schedule over the weekend, you can send 123 Main Street to your consumer with blocks, right, of available times. All they do is click the time, right? And the rest of the process automates to the point where the showing request goes in, all parties are notified when it's approved, right? It fits straight into the schedule and that's it, right? So we're really trying to make the agent interaction a little bit easier with their client. And the last thing we want to do is have an agent say no to their client. Sometimes that can be painful. So instead, let's just not give them the opportunity to say no. Let's find the times that work for all parties with the showing availability with yourself as the buyer's agent, and then see the client schedule, right? Calendar sharing. Think Calendly meets showing management, right? And just keeping everyone on the same page. It's really important.
So here's my next follow-up question to that, because I remember talking to you guys, actually, Tom, somebody from Showingly, a few months ago, right here on LCA. And this was only available to associations like MLSs, right? Let me ask, and I love the product, to be honest with you guys, but I, at that time asked, is it going to be available to individual agents? Like, I'm working for, for a particular company. And as an individual agent or team leader for a team, because I do have a team, would Showingly be available? Is it still that we have to go through our MLSs for our own listings or for our buyers?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, right. I guess fortunately and unfortunately, right? Because we need the data, right? We need to be able to provide consumers, right, that they're right 100%. We need to be supporting them. We can't do that if we don't have an agent roster from the MLS. We need to be able to verify that when we're giving out a lockbox code, that's a legitimate transfer of information. And if it's not, then there's a security issue. So we absolutely need to partner with the MLSs. I do think that interoperability agreements, right, between showing management companies only help the agents and ultimately the consumers, right? And that really does come down to a competition thing, right? I mean, you're going to get prices falling, and you're going to get services increasing, right? I mean, the value is going to skyrocket here as more and more showing management companies come into the fold, which is great for everyone. But to black and white answer your question, yes, we need information from the MLS. So if we don't have that relationship, then unfortunately it's not going to work out.
So that means no matter what, I do need to let my MLS know you need to connect to Showingly now.
Absolutely.
And MLSs serve the people paying the dues, right? They serve the agents and the brokers. So if they're getting nudged and more people are like, no, we want to try Showingly, or listen, Tours-S, Insta, right? There's many other options in the showing management space. We're one of many. We think we're the best, but that's our opinion, right? So more and more pressure from the agents and the brokers for MLSs to really provide competition is probably the best thing, right? And just because we get in, if we're not integrated with your MLS and you then have to input your listing into the MLS and then into our third party, right, showing service site, not going to work, right? No agent's going to want to do it, and you shouldn't. That would be an absolute pain. So, we're either integrated with your MLS or we're not. And, hopefully what's coming through the pipeline right now with the showing hub and interoperability gets pushed to, the mid-level and, smaller MLSs as well, because it really is the best for everyone.
It is. I mean, I've been very interested in from the first time I've talked to you guys and done the webinar here on LCA. Anything else you guys want to add to this before we say, before we're done with this webinar? Anything else that is coming new? Well, we already discussed that, but Tom, anything?
I would just say, I cannot stress enough how much we need your feedback. We need your help. I can't hit a target I can't see. So if I don't know that you need something, you can't be mad at me for not giving it to you. And
Absolutely.
so, the beauty of this company is that we are very transparent. We want to have relationships with agents and brokerages and MLSs sufficient enough that you feel comfortable saying, Tom, listen, I got a problem. I really need your help. This thing didn't do what it was supposed to do, or, hey, this was really great, and I thought of something else that would be even better still. All of those things, look, we want to help. We want to, like I said, there's enough things in the world to make real estate complicated. We don't want to be one of them. We want to take a couple of those things off of your plate and just make it easy and streamlined and efficient so that you can concentrate on building those relationships with your clients, because that ultimately is what's going to win the day for everybody. And so tell us what you need. We're here to help. We will absolutely entertain. I don't care how crazy you think it is. It might be crazy like a fox. So please let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Well, see, that's the beauty of your companies is that, you are very flexible. The word of the day is flexibility. And that Absolutely. Is so amazing. And we, like you said, everything is so rigid in our industry, right? As realtors, Wes, that there's so many protocols we need to make sure of that are taken care of as realtors, as team leaders. This is one company that I've heard that is very flexible. So thank you for that. And hey guys, if whoever's listening out there, we're on LCA, Facebook Live, do connect with them. There's a link right there. If you miss on any of this, we do have it. We will have it uploaded in our YouTube video, YouTube channel, LCA, but showingly.com. Check it out, you guys. It's really interesting. I've been wanting to work with them, but I got to check it out first with my MLS. So I got to talk to them first. And I have put in a word, you guys, just FYI, it's the Bay East Association of Realtors here. I have put in a word, so hopefully, we'll come to you guys soon.
We will, we'll be reaching out shortly.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. We really appreciate you. Talk soon.
Yep.
All right,
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.